While there has been a slow decline of officers feloniously killed in the line of duty over the past 3 years, a study of the data shows the rate of officers assaulted has increased each of the past 3 years. Agencies reported 79,091 officers were assaulted in 2023, marking the highest officer assault rate in the past 10 years. Most officer assaults occurred when responding to simple assaults against a non-officer, 6,783 incidents, followed by drug-narcotic violations, 4,879. The number of officers assaulted and injured by firearms has climbed over the years, reaching a 10-year high in 2023 with approximately 466 officers assaulted and injured by firearms. Also released was 2023 information from the Law Enforcement Employee Counts data collection. Law enforcement agencies provide these counts to the FBI annually and account for all sworn law enforcement officers and full-time civilian employees. This information may be used by city, county, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to establish manpower needs, both number and makeup, to provide effective enforcement and protection. The study was conducted over a 3-year period. The 51 incidents resulted in the death of 54 police officers and involved 50 offenders. Results demonstrated that, while no single offender profile could be established, most killers of police officers had been diagnosed as having some type of personality disorder. Behavioral descriptors of victims were frequently similar in that they were good-natured and more conservative than their fellow officers in the use of physical force. The incidents themselves revealed that killings were often facilitated by some type of procedural miscue, type of assignment, circumstances at the scene of an encounter, weapons involved, and the environment in which events occurred all played a role in the preponderance of police officer deaths in the South. The report presents extensive information on the victims, offenders, and incidents studied. It identifies personality types of offenders, provides guidance on how individuals of a given personality type interact with authority figures, and offers approaches to interrogation. Glennon Sweet was convicted of killing Highway Patrol Trooper Russell Harper in 1987 outside of Springfield. A police killer, Glennon Paul SWEET, born on June 30, 1955. Sweet had a history of mental problems and head injuries. Sweet's mother drank regularly when she was pregnant with him, and he displayed many symptoms of fetal alcohol syndrome. During elementary school years he displayed signs of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and a learning disability that went untreated. Testing indicated that neurological impairments may have been linked to several head injuries, including a cerebral concussion caused by a car accident. Serious questions remain concerning police investigation practices used in the case. Sweet's attorney failed to develop a variety of leads to create reasonable doubt in the jurors. On February 8, 1987, Sweet sped past Trooper Russell Harper of the Missouri State Highway Patrol on a highway outside of Springfield, Missouri. Harper turned on his signal lights and gave chase. At approximately 4:30 p.m. Trooper Russell Harper of the Missouri State Highway Patrol, an 18-year veteran, was stationed on Highway 60 near Springfield, Missouri, operating a radar device. A red mid-60s Chevrolet pickup truck passed Trooper Harper at an excessive rate of speed. Trooper Harper activated his red lights and pursued the truck about 1.5 miles, where the truck pulled off and stopped on a farm road. Before Trooper Harper could get out of his car, Sweet leapt from the truck, stepped toward the patrol car, and fired several bursts of gunfire. One bullet struck Trooper Harper in the head, causing death. 29 bullet holes or indentations were found in the patrol car. Sweet drove to the home of Donald Bills, where the two began the task of refurbishing the truck by replacing the tires, repainting and further modifying it to disguise the vehicle. Sweet also shaved his mustache to disguise himself. On February 9, 1987, Highway Patrol troopers arrived at the Bills' residence on a tip that Sweet was staying in an old bus on Bills' property. In a search of the area, an HK-93 semi-automatic assault rifle, later determined to be the murder weapon, was found in a junked vehicle, about 1,000 yards from the Bills' residence. After obtaining a search warrant to further search the house, troopers found Sweet hiding in the attic. Sweet was arrested 2 days later as he hid in the attic of a friend's house. At the time of his arrest, he was wanted on felony weapons charges in Kansas City and for jumping bail on a drug charge out of Texas. Sweet was convicted of murdering Harper after a 5-day jury trial. Clay County Circuit Judge Glennon McFarland, nicknamed the Hanging Judge because of his reputation for doling out the death penalty, followed the jury's recommendation in January 1988 and ordered Sweet to be executed. Sweet took a timely direct appeal to the Missouri Supreme Court and also, pursuant to Missouri Supreme Court rule, filed a pro se post-conviction motion in Clay County Circuit Court, raising a number of constitutional claims. The motion court appointed counsel for Sweet. More than 4 months after counsel was appointed, Sweet amended his motion to assert additional claims. This amended petition was not timely, however, because Sweet was required to file any amendment no later than 60 days after the appointment of counsel. In the consolidated appeal, the Missouri Supreme Court held that the claims raised for the first time in Sweet's amended motion were not properly raised and declined to consider them. The court affirmed Sweet's conviction and sentence in the direct appeal and affirmed on the merits the denial of the timely. In 1991, Pope John Paul II wrote a letter to then-Governor John Ashcroft, pleading with him to spare Sweet's life. Ashcroft forwarded the letter to the Division of Probation and Parole. It had no effect on Sweet's case. The U.S. Supreme Court and the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis turned down Sweet's last-minute bids for a stay and a new hearing. Governor Mel Carnahan declined to halt the execution. Glennon Paul SWEET was executed on April 22, 1998. Earlier in the day, Sweet, who said he had found God while in prison, was optimistic about his chances of avoiding execution. "I'm blessed," Sweet said from his cell. "I've done my praying. I ain't shot nobody." Sweet later had visits from friends, family members, his lawyer and a spiritual advisor. He declined to order a last meal. Mr. Sweet was convicted of shooting Trooper Russell Harper with an assault rifle in 1987 after Harper stopped him near Springfield, in southwest Missouri. Following a lethal injection of drugs, Glennon Paul SWEET was declared dead at 12:05 a.m. at the Potosi Correctional Center. But he had maintained his innocence until his last breath. "I didn't shoot the trooper," Sweet said in his final statement. "This isn't justice, but I forgive everyone." Sweet, of rural Douglas County, maintained his innocence, claiming that he didn't kill Harper. He said he was out for a drive that night, but said he was on a different road when Harper was shot point-blank in the head. Sweet was the third Missouri inmate to be executed that year, and the 32nd since the state reinstituted the death penalty in the 1980s. Glennon Paul SWEET was 42 years at the time of his execution. Thank you for watching Death Row.